Now it's still got to be tuned. And it's still rather new-ish, so I don't want to rev it real high yet. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you watching another one of my videos. I am relaxing inside in my temporary swivel chair I got going on here. So first of all, let's get it out of the way with you know what it is. If you could please give me a like or dislike, it's up to you. Hit the subscribe button. That'd be awesome. That's cool. That helps the YouTube algorithm. But most of all, the thing I love the most about the whole thing is if you could please drop me a line in the comments and just say, "What's up, Johnny? This is what I'm building." And if you do want to talk, go over to Johnny's Motorized Bicycles, and it's a Facebook group. Just Facebook it, I guess, Google it, and join. It's free, and it's just a way to talk, and it's fun. So do that. But for today's video, what you see behind me, you have seen before. This brand new motor that I had bought to replace my old YD100. I am going to do it again because I never really got to live the dial read setup. Everyone's like, don't go with the dial read, do this, do that. Well, I want to try what I want to try. So it was running great up until that broke on me, which is, you know, a problem for me because I never got to really enjoy it and tune it and really try. So the other YD, I had a plan on having two YDs. Well, the other one I was going to rebuild, and I found out it had a broken ring and whatnot you saw in the video. So this one was on my silver bike that kind of was supposed to replace Terra Reed, and it's really just been sitting because once I put it together, it just wouldn't go over 32 miles an hour really. It hit 40 a couple times, but it wasn't running properly, and it should hit 40 in its sleep. Let's be serious with the way I'm doing this. So something's not right. So what I did is, you all know, I took this and I made my own dial reed cylinder. Now I don't have a mill or a lathe or anything that would make this easier. I have my hands and a dremel, and that's what I use. Well, the very first time I did it, I went too far. Now you see it's on here and it does run. Like if I put this on a bike right now, this will run, but it runs bad. It has an air leak that I don't know where it is, and I have a feeling it's in this whole stuff going on. So I want to do it again. I have this cylinder that I had bought a while back that is a brand new cylinder. It maybe has 40 miles on it, but I stopped using it because when I took it off and really looked at it, you could see, can you see me? Can you see through it? I can see you guys through it. That's called crosstalk. Basically what's happening is the intake is open at the same time the exhaust is open, which means you're not going to get any good compression, and you're definitely not going to rev up, and you're not going to have a good day at the park. It was just a bad casting. I'm going to take and use this cylinder and make a new dial reed cylinder out of it. And the reason I'm going to use it is because otherwise it's completely useless to me. I can't do anything with it otherwise because the crosstalk will not let you do more than 20-25 miles an hour, and it just doesn't run right. So I'm gonna do it again. This is the stock one, like I said, I got from the kit. So they basically put this on a milling machine, and the miller goes across and cuts all this out. All that is this. That's this side. It's a regular cylinder. So I'm going to, once again, break off all the fins, grind all this down until I end up with this. Now, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to show you the issues I had with it and stuff, but I went too far in because I couldn't get it to be flat. This has to be really, really straight. Can you see that, how straight it is? Because the block of aluminum has to mate up against it and have a good seal. So I'm going to try it again with this one. In my eyes, this cylinder is already ruined as it is from the factory. It's got the crosstalk. With a reed setup, you don't have to worry about the crosstalk because basically the reed is now your timing. So I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with this. Well, I'm sorry, that I did with this, but I'm going to make it look more like this. I'm going to take this off. I have to make a couple base gaskets anyway, so I'm going to break the entire motor down, clean it up really good, and I'm going to make a couple base gaskets because it's much easier to make the base gaskets with the bottom of the crank or the top of the crank than it is to use the bottom of the cylinder, because these sticking up make it very hard to use the hammer and cut it right. Now I can do it, but it's harder to do. It's much easier to do it with this. Also, while I have it all apart, port match the transfers on the crank, and the case, and the cylinder, so it's just 100% good to go. I'm basically going to take my time with this one. I didn't do that last time. Let's start breaking it down. Let's get into it, and let's see if I can do better. The first time was a learning experience. Like I said, I never did this before. I'm not some amazing mechanic. I am a backyard mechanic that can do anything if I put my mind to it. You guys can do anything if you put your mind to it. It's all about just doing it. Get off the bench and do it. You screw it up, who cares? Buy another one, try again. Fix the one you screwed up. I don't care how you do it, just try. That's the important part, is you try. And I plan on trying until I get this right. If a guy down in Florida can do this on his machine, and a guy built that machine, then there's no reason that I, another human being, can't make this with my own hands. Okay, yes, a machine is going to be more precise. I don't care. I could be just as precise once in my life, or as many times as I want to be. It just takes me a lot longer. I figured out my biggest issue I had last time, I'll show you with this cylinder, was getting this edge to be perfectly flat. I couldn't get it to be flat, and that's what made me keep going lower and lower and lower to try to get this to be flat. But I figured it out this time. So no matter what, this is coming apart, and I'll video that. And I'll show you how I go about trying to make this into a dial read. That is our goal. Let's do it, guys. Okay, guys, so this is my table at the moment. I have taken it completely apart. I am going to bolt this together like this, so I can make, I basically did all this to make really nice base gaskets. So that's what I want to do. I also want to take the one I'm going to be working with, just like the way it would be, and as if it was bolted in like this. Now granted, the charge comes in from the crank and goes up, so that is better than the other way in my opinion, because this way the pressure is not fighting against a dead zone. It's just like empty space. It's like a vacuum, and that gapping like that between the crank case and the transfer port will cause like a small vacuum, I guess it's called, inside when it's pushing the gas air mixture charge up into the cylinder head. So I'm not going to go nuts obviously, but I will take and basically flatten that out so that it just fits better. But all in all, it's a good head, and it's ready to be turned into a dial read cylinder head. And they advertise it's a balanced crank, and it's not moving at all. Now I'm going to get it on a separate rig to make sure it is balanced, because there's nothing holding this side up, so that could be maybe making it bind up in the bearing. I don't know. But I'm going to do my best to try to balance that and make sure it's balanced, and I guess we'll take it from there. With this, I sanded down the mating surface. I port matched the best I could the transfers to the cylinder I'm going to be using. Before I started this, there was a lip. Now I did my best to bend this and move this and try to twist it so that they line up, but I could only get one side to line up nice. And even when I put the cylinder on it, it had the slightest bit of rocking. So I took it apart, and it was this side that was technically rocking. Right over here, in that spot there, is where the teeter point was. But now we are nice and flat and straight. This doesn't teeter-totter on it anymore. Now we're good, nice and flat. See, no more teeter-totter. Coincidentally, that is a point on a screwdriver going straight across as if it was completely one piece. This is perfectly smooth, which means this entire thing is leveled. So I hope. So I don't know how much we took it down. It was only a little bit, but those little bits add up. So it could have been a thousandth, maybe 2,000. I don't really know how that works, to be honest with you guys. Welcome back. It's the next day. I took a break after doing some of the stuff yesterday, but We got as far as putting the case back together, put the crank back in, sealed it all up. I used a little bit of a gasket sealer. I also made a couple gaskets. I made two because they normally have two base gaskets. They are perfect matching gaskets, which is awesome. The next step is taking this and cutting all these fins off. This is what I found when I took it off the cylinder. So if you look here, everything else is gasket material, but right there is the metal. That is the only spot that it was legitimately flat up against the cylinder. But when I pop it off, see the moisture? There was not a good seal. So it was definitely not sealing properly, and a big part of it is because it was not totally flat. See this dark spot and that dark spot? That is the only places that was making direct, smooth contact with the block of aluminum. So we are going to do it again, obviously, but we're going to do it much better this time. Look how far in it goes. This is the original one from the kit. See how far it's... It gives you an idea. I'm trying to make this level. I couldn't get into these edges. These edges were impossible to get into. I was doing everything with a Dremel, so it was very hard to get in and make the edge. And I eventually got it pretty flat, but I was already so thin, I couldn't keep going. Now in the mill, from this point to this point is 100% flat. So I do it with the Dremel. It's not that easy. Believe me when I tell you, it is not that easy. And I'm gonna make it look like this one, 110%. So how are we gonna do it? Carefully. Other than that, I don't really have an answer for you. Figured I'd stop and show you what it looks like halfway through. I broke off the fins, or ground them down until they broke off smooth and flat at least. And I'm working on the intake port. It just takes a long time and a lot of grinding with this thing, so just figured I'd give you a look at what it looks like on its way to completion. Alright guys, so I'm close here. I just took a file to it just to see, you know, high and low spots, because the file is mostly flat. But you can see, if you look like this, you can see the center is just naturally a lower spot. So I have a lot more material up here and down there to work away before I get her flat, obviously. But not bad, it's coming there. I just finished grinding it with the Dremel, but we still got a little bit of work to do. Alright, talk to you in a little bit. I am nearing finishing on this. I still gotta smooth it out and stuff. I still have to port this one. So she's looking really good, and I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. Alright guys, I think this is it. I'm gonna let it roll with this. But for now, all I really gotta do is drill those holes, finish porting this bad boy out, and she's ready to go back on. Cannot wait to try this guy out. And that's right, I'm putting on my daily for now. I did not heed any advice. I am playing around with my daily rider, despite what others suggest to me and say, heed my warning, don't play around with your daily. But I'm doing it anyway, because, I mean, yeah, I guess that's good advice for some, but it just don't work for me. Okay guys, so I got it on. Like I do, I seal it. Ran the bolts through. All in all, we're on there. I mean, we're so much more square and better than last time. Last time there was such a big gap. Like, it was just not near as good as it is this time. I'm so much happier. So all I gotta do now is let that dry. Alright guys, this is final before I assemble. I ground this down a lot more to get that angle more gradual, and I just tapered everything so it's just all right to the center. I sanded her down. All in all, I am really happy with this one. This is the third one for me. obviously, and third time's a charm, right guys? So yeah, I'm just basically super happy with this thing, and I'm ready to put it in and see what happens. Okay, I'm putting it together. I put a little grease on everything just so it doesn't go together dry. Same with the cylinder. I put grease everywhere just so it's, you know, not a completely dry start. Okay guys, so I put it all together, and I've never done it before, but I blocked the exhaust port, blocked the whatever this port is called, I don't remember at the moment. It goes to the carburetor. It's just you can basically hook NOS up to this nitrous, but I blew into this, and I feel like there should be pressure built up fairly easily. In other words, it'd be difficult to evacuate the air you're blowing into this intake manifold. But I can feel air coming out around here somewhere. And I feel like that's not right. I feel like something is wrong. So I'm gonna have to break this entire motor down, and I'm gonna have to find out what's going on inside the crankcase over here. Something isn't right. But I'm glad I figured this out before I put it all back on the bike. So I'm gonna break this down. We're gonna go through it again. As always, do what I do at your own risk, okay? Only do what I do as a last resort to get things done the cheapest and best way. So I went ahead and made a gasket. It's in there. I have the whole thing apart at the moment. I cut the inside, the screw holes, clamp it down nice and tight, and then I cut the outside with a razor. Okay, so this is the gasket I made. Don't worry about that little piece right there. That's not a problem. When I put it on here, I accidentally made it like this. The sheet was, you know, it's a flat, you know, square sheet, and I put it here, and I guess I just missed the edge, and I just had it going across there. But the part that's supposed to seal is there to seal. That's all that matters to me. We're gonna put it back together and hope for the best. Gotta clean her all up again because we made everything dirty and dusty, and we're gonna put it together, and we're gonna be successful because I said so. You can will it to happen. You can't will it to happen. You need to do it right. Don't do what I do. Redid the pressure test. We are Gucci. Oh yeah, you know what that means. That means it's basically go time. Okay folks, welcome back. It is day, I think 5, working on this YD100. This is where we're at. Take this motor off to get the weight off, clean the frame up. Then, since the bike's going to be lighter, I'm going to take this wheel off. Hear that? The vibration. I'm going to take the wheel off, fix it so I can tighten down the cone nuts properly, and then I'm going to start installing the YD. Which I'm souped about this, guys. So let's get this off. Let's clean this up. Let's fix the rim. Let's get that on, and let's go ripping. Guys, I just threw my gloves down after working. You know, because it's go time to go test out the bike, and when I tossed my glove down, look what it did. It was like, you go, bro. So I feel like that's a good sign. Let's go rip it up. Okay guys, I went to Quick Check. I'm in the back lot. Fired right up, I'm not gonna lie. This is the only pipe I have at the moment. I mean, that's not true. I do have, well, I don't like how tight that is. It's alright. I do have the MZ65 clone, but it's got a hole right there. And I don't know. I don't really want to put that on because it makes a mess out of everything. Now it's still got to be tuned. And it's still rather new-ish, so I don't want to rev it real high yet. It's only quarter to half a throttle. But it's really restricted and whatnot. But guys, it is running. It started right up with a little bit of choke, and it's idling. It wasn't fucking. It still needs to be tuned. You know, like it still needs to be tuned because I never got it tuned from when I was using it or trying to use it last time. And it's not right. It's still lean, I think, possibly, but I honestly don't really know. But it is running, guys. It's running, and it's quiet. I mean, the pipe helps a lot, but considering it's quiet, and it was like the acceleration with no load, it's smooth, if that makes sense. So I don't know what to say, guys. I am ecstatic. I'm gonna obviously get some daytime shots, and I'm gonna play with it a lot tomorrow. I fixed the wheel like I showed you, and I took off the pulley because this, I've always had this chain tensioner on my YD100 bikes because they were my daily and I just think they work better. I had this on here because that's just what came with the kit and I just used it because why not? And I was actually going to run it as a secondary, but I didn't like it being so close, and this gives it just a little bit of slack and it's perfect. Look, the string's not even pulled tight, so I don't know, guys. I am ecstatic right now. I could sing. I could literally freaking sing. I'm so happy. Whatever, I'll talk to you guys in the morning. I'm gonna go ride it a little because I'm so happy.